Cool. So we're good to go. We have 15 people watching now. So make sure you guys comment in the chat. I want to hear from you all, and you can ask questions. We'll be making sure to answer your question eventually, and we'll get there soon. I want to hear your thoughts about what you're thinking about right now, or maybe what you're going to do the weekend, or maybe where you're watching this from. I would like it. So as I said before, the purpose of this YouTube live stream is to kind of go through trader stories and things we had to do ourselves to be able to get to trading full time. So kind of the tough things we had to work on, things that we faced, problems, issues, and how we overcome them. So I want to start with Michael. And Michael, go ahead and tell people kind of when you started trading and how did that go on the start of your trading?
Yeah, well, I started, it's getting close to 20 years, 18 years now. And, I gave it a couple of starts and, a couple of years and then stopped and gave it a couple of years, stopped. Life happens, your career, your quote, regular job, kind of gets in the way. And, there's always challenges with that. And I was really developing and learning, but I took it seriously, but, you have to make a living in other ways and things like that. So, but my passion was always there. In fact, it grew every year, even when I wasn't trading. So once I got that groove and I kind of got that hunger and feel for it more and more, that excitement at my regular job, which I kind of liked. I had a lot of friends there and everything, and I did it very well. In the area of risk management, I just would go home at night thinking about charts and trading. So, and I know a lot of the viewers think the same, have that same kind of passion. So eventually, I had to make those decisions of when am I going to make that change? When am I going to make, that life change to, really put all the effort in it takes to be successful? And, obviously, um, you know, cut to, several years later, I'm here now, but there was a lot of struggles during that transition, both, financially, personally, getting my family to believe in me, things like that. But those are the challenges all traders face, I think, at one point in their career.
Let's talk about family. So how do you have your family believe in you? Is it something that you had to tell them?
Yeah, I mean, there was some who, you get your mom who's just like, whatever you do, Michael, we'll support you. And then you get other people who like challenge you or don't believe you or just think the whole thing is like risky. And my response to that was, well, I'm a professional risk manager at my company. I mean, I can assess risk, I can identify risk, and I can manage it too. So, my thinking was to apply those principles into my trading world. That was a tough sell for a lot of people, mostly because, they really just didn't understand it. And maybe I didn't articulate it in a way that, you know, didn't really lend themselves to it. Ultimately, success or results changes their mind, but there was a lot of years in the making. And, there was a time there where I actually stopped doing it just because of that. And it was mostly more fear internally, really, than trying to address it. I just said, it's not worth it. I'll just, you know, deal with my, job, which I kind of liked and loved and was very safe and secure. But eventually you have to make a decision for yourself and say, do I want to live my life like this? And I'll deal with the criticism or the questions later.
Awesome. Let's talk about time a little bit. So one of the big issues for people that have a full-time job is having time to be able to do the things that you need to do. And sometimes the only thing you gotta do is like take the time and make time for it. So either in your free time, when you come back from work, whatever. So how did you make time for you to be able to work on your trading? Do you practice or do you research or play straight or whatever?
Yeah, all of the above, actually, Tien. And I did it on my spare time. Sometimes maybe during my work hours, kind of snuck in some back testing, whatever. Remember back 10, 15 years ago, there we didn't have the tools that we had here, like online back testing
Yeah.
tools and things like that. So it was, I mean, I don't want to say it's easier now for a lot of traders, but it really is. I mean, I had to really grind and a lot of manual stuff. And really when you have passion for something, you just find the time. I know that sounds like a cop out, but you really do. You just in the car, you're listening to audio books, and on weekends you're cranking out like just back testing. And really, in the early stages, it was finding a strategy not only that I can understand and that's comfortable with me, but also I can be successful at. I kind of felt it was made for me. I can make it my own, but also, I can basically tell a 12-year-old about it, and they'll be able to look and say, "Oh, okay, I kind of get it." But really, a big focus was, okay, I got my back testing. I'm comfortable with this. how do I execute it? And how come I'm not getting the results that I'm getting in the back test? There's that gap. And every trader goes through that. It's always exciting in back testing. And other than maybe that 3 a.m. trade in the morning trade that, okay, I get it. I couldn't take that one. How come I'm not getting that result? So I spent a lot of effort, not necessarily finding the strategy. That's actually easy. It's closing that gap between getting the results that my back testing was showing me. Years and years of effort to get to that point.
Okay, we'll talk about how you did that for sure. But first, I want to hear: are there some compromise you had to do back then?
Oh, compromise? Yes, I would say maybe the word is more sacrifice. I mean, I sacrificed a lot of free time, a lot of personal time with friends, family. I mean, there were times on like weekends where I just, I faked the cold just so I can do more testing and things where my friends are going out. And I just felt it was an investment that I wanted to do. I had the passion to do it. I took a lot of personal sick days at work so I can go to trader expos. To me, that was the biggest sacrifice that I made. I mean, I hopefully, I tend to not really get sick too often. So I used all those days for like trader expos, and I would go all the time. To me, that was the biggest breakthrough. I found that online at the time, there was a lot of noise and a lot of junk, probably like there is now. It just really didn't end up giving me any value. But I found when I went to those expos, I was with two sets of people, successful traders or people who wanted to be successful. And I felt that was the environment that I needed to be in. So now, granted, I'm not going to find the Holy Grail, but I'm going to find maybe one or two nuggets of information for every conference I went to. And over the years, really, when you look at my entire portfolio and trading plan and trading history, it really is just a summation of those little nuggets I picked up at those expos that really just accumulated over the years. And I mean, I sacrificed too. I mean, I didn't stay at the hotels that the conference was being held because they were like ridiculously expensive. I would, eat maybe outside and not at the conference, restaurants. I made a lot of personal sacrifices, and now I actually reward myself and make sure I get like the nicer rooms and treat traders that just to have the opportunity to talk to them. But there was a lot of sacrifice in those early years, and I mean, I wasn't sleeping in my car, but there was, a lot of stuff that you just really end up appreciating success more when you do those things.
I remember my first conference that I went to, trading conference, when I began traveling and trading in 2017. I didn't have much money back then. I was kind of trying to get all the returns from my trading to be able to use it properly. So they had this conference in China, and I actually stayed in a hostel, I think they call it like a capsule hostel with like a capsule bed, and it was pretty cool. But I didn't stay at these big hotels like I do now for sure. But it just shows that you don't have to necessarily go. Like, first, you don't need a lot of money to go there, and second, you don't need to kind of spend your money on doing things necessarily. You can save money a lot that way.
I agree. And maybe Alex has the same experience where really when it comes down to like 10, 15 years of my trading, or getting close to 20 now, it just came down to a few moments. To me, I look back and say, what were those little moments that maybe I took action, the slightest little thing, and it just changed everything. We could talk about those actually if you want, but maybe
We'll talk about those soon. Yeah.
yeah.
So just before that, do you feel like the conference today are as valuable as they used to be, like maybe 10, 15 years ago? Or is there some more crap out there, in your opinion?
It's interesting. I mean, I've evolved in the conference scene where I was a attendee, and then I started speaking. I would do like book promotions and things like that throughout the conferences. So my role in the conferences is different now. Full disclosure. And I know a lot of the ownership teams and same, and I give them their professional feedback. To me personally, I think it's losing a certain edge, but from a new trader, it's probably it's just as valuable. But I just been through the cycle so much, and other than maybe some of the algos and things like that, sort of the new trends, I think some of the core stuff is getting a little stale, and that's just me. And I'm on focus groups with the conventions and stuff, so I share that, and they understand it as well. It's just more competitive now. There's a lot of you have to sort of balance that education with giving the attendees what they want. And right now they're just hungry for algos and stuff like that. So I feel we're missing the core value of what happens. But again, absolutely, there's a net positive going to these expos. I mean, you learn so much. Again, they're just so valuable.
Awesome. So very soon you'll be hearing the story of Alejandro. Just before my call, I want to ask you, it's a question from Ivan, who asked, what are the turning points that made you decide to become a full-time trader?
It's a great question. It was passion for a lifestyle that I really didn't have. I was putting a lot of hours in the office, and it wasn't like I hated my job or anything like that. It was, I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of friends there, and I had a leadership role. It was pretty cool. But I just felt like I wanted the flexibility. I wanted the freedom. So it was passion for a lifestyle that I said, I don't want to be 65 years old and just, what's my legacy going to be? He just worked at an office and added value. I wanted something where I could really be excited about what I was doing. If it's okay, I'll tell you a really quick story. One of those key moments is I was driving one day and I was listening to some music that I haven't got a chance to, the backlog of music. So I had like 4 CDs in my car. And this song came on, and actually, full disclosure, it was a song called Mediterranean by Duran Duran, believe it or not. I'll put it in the show notes, actually. And basically talk about a guy who's sitting at his desk, looking out the window and seeing a plane going overhead. And he's looking at that plane saying, gee, I wonder where that plane's going. Caribbean, maybe the Mediterranean, probably someplace cool. And then like 30 seconds later, there was like an Air France jet. And he's like, must be coming from Paris, and you start daydreaming. I go, that was me. Like, I do this all the time. And then they start talking about the lifestyle. And I always wanted like a beach house. I always wanted something near the water. And one of the lines, it was, I think, when the white sands touch the sea, there's a space for us. And I go, oh my God, like there was a key moment. And I say, well, how does music play a role in your trading career? That was a key moment. Says, I have to make a change in my life. And to this day, I have certain like project plans with trading. The title of my file is called Mediterranean because it's just constantly reminding me of that was the goal. Like, I want that beach by the house by the water. And Etienne, you were graciously nice enough to attend last year, and you saw like the environment. It's not just a beautiful
really
view.
Nice. Yeah.
But it's a great trading environment. It allows you to really think about like algo development and stuff like that. And we had a great time. I mean, I'm sure the beers helped, but so I set the goal in mind, and that like sort of, song was sort of the fuel that drove me to get there. So I know it's a long-winded answer. That's a little personal story. I don't think I've ever shared with anyone, but find your passion and find that sort of drive that say enough's enough. So that was the starting point of my eventual exit out of corporate life. And I still help out on a consulting basis for a lot of these companies, but there was a decision. I never looked back.
Awesome. So you guys are having really good questions in the chat. We'll wait a little bit, and I want to talk about like things that you did to improve your trading a little bit later. But first, let's bring in Alejandro. So Alejandro, how did you start trading exactly? How did you come across trading in the first place, and what happened then?
Yeah, I just want to say something like that Mike, comment something that Mike said. I love how even after like getting the goal of that house by the beach and that, like when you think of your house and beach and when you think that, you think of a perfect place to do trading and to think about trading. So it's like trading, it's your passion to the point that even though you have now that goal that you were achieving when you wanted to achieve, that made you transition from your corporate life to the trading, even though you have that goal, you still think of that goal as a perfect place to continue trading more in a way that keeps giving you freedom and enriches you in many ways, not just financially, but like in many other ways. So I love that part because, you didn't say anything about like relaxation or a lovely place to just like relax or unwind and that. No, it's a great place to think about algo development, to think about trading and advancing and that, right? So I love that, like that passion, even though you got to your dream, it's still trading. It's still part of the dream in your case.
Alex, I have to tell you real quick. When Etienne got, just to show you how much junkies we are, Etienne arrives. I pick him up at the airport. We get to the place. I show him the view, and it's. He didn't even get his suitcase, right? He didn't even get his suitcase unpacked. We're looking at charts. And we ended up talking for like 2 hours looking at charts. And I'm like, he didn't even get his suitcases unpacked. So there's a junky element in us that, it's great. But I'm sorry, go ahead. Remember Etienne?
That was pretty cool. Yeah. Cool. So I don't know, how did you start trading and how did that come into the first place?
Yeah, so I originally started trading, I think it was in my last year of high school. I don't remember exactly if it was the last year of high school or after I finished high school. I found out about trading and Forex trading specifically by searching online. I think the search term was something like how to make money online. It's kind of like just how to make money online fast. Like that's the thing. And I came onto those in those times. That was 2012, if I'm correct. In those times, I came to several of those pages of those scams of managed accounts that promise you, like 1% every week or 1% every day compounded, and all those dreams, right? That they sell you. And I found that, and then of course I read the things, and I was like, okay, this is too good. And I noticed that they were scams, so I didn't fall for any of those scams. But I was like, okay, so this is the scam part of this, like this industry. Now let's try to find like the real part of it. And then I continued investigating more about trading, and then I saw the possibilities and whatever things like you could get from trading, the lifestyle and that's what I found the good part, the real part of trading, not those scams. And I started to trade. I was trading during my sabbatical year. It was really just waiting for answer from overseas university in the application process, since it was offset by 6 months. So I started trading while by working at my cousin's factory. And I just kept trading there. I started with $1,000. I didn't know what I was doing. I was completely just see the charts, download 24, I didn't even change the layout or like the visual layouts from that. I was using the ugliest charts ever to come the file with 24 and that. I didn't know what I was doing. I put $1,000 with the broker. And I picked up on a pattern that kept repeating along the weeks during those times. And I duplicated my account in about a month. I didn't know anything about risk management or anything. So naturally, I duplicated my account in a month. And then after that, I lost, I think, everything except for $100 or something like that in about a week after that. So I was super excited in the job. I was trading usually in the job because since I was, my cousin was the factory manager, I was just helping them as assistant. So I didn't really have much job to do. So I was trading during the job, and I was like super excited. And then 1 week later, I was like down in the dumps because I had lost all the money I had in those times. I just came out of high school, like my money that I had earned myself during that job. So that's how I started. And after that, I was like, okay, I know that it's possible to make money. I also know that it's possible to lose it quick. So after that, I started to see what I needed to educate myself. I started with price action, but always focusing in risk management more than anything else, because I have already experienced the losing your whole account and seeing like how easy it is to go up, but also go down really fast. And from there, I continue learning about trading, learning to trade. I went to university and I kept trading while in university and learning to trade while in university, alongside. And in the end, after I finished university, I interviewed for several, how are they called? Investment banking firms and consulting firms in Mexico City. And I got to the last stage of the interviews to be interviewed with the owners or the managers, depending on how big the company was, even to some of those multinationals. And I went and see the environment, and I was like, okay, no, this is basically you are expected to be here from 8 a.m. to like 11 p.m. most of the days. Yes, the pay is really good, that, but you're expected to be like this for at least the first 5 years. And then once you grow, maybe you're not expected now anymore from 7 to 11. Now you're expected only from 10 to 8, but you still have to be available basically whenever, if you have a client, most in the investment banking, if you had a client that needed to do something, you were basically on call, and then you had to be there, and the teams like tell stories about basically being there for a whole week on call, in which you only go to your home to shower, take a quick nap, and then go back to the office. And some people even having like spare suits in the office. They even have showers in the office. So you could just take a shower, change your suit, and then continue with your working day. And I was like, okay, that definitely, it is good if you don't have anything like anyone else and you just want to dedicate your life to work. But unless you really, really love the job or the money, and then you probably want to like go somewhere else super radically, and that has nothing to do with that after you like save enough money, it was not really for me. So I withdrew my application in the last stages for all of them, and I decided to dedicate my time, since I had some money saved and also my family was supportive, understanding enough. I decided to dedicate myself. Okay, I'm already okay in trading. I just need to get to the next level, and it may be a slower grind because if you are in investment banking, many people may know that they have one of the best salaries for a graduate. You can be earning a really good amount of money as an investment banker in there. So maybe it will not be as profitable at the beginning, but down the road, it's not an investment for now, it's an investment for the future. And the most important part for me was that lifestyle, being able to decide, being able to, like now, if I want to take a break, I can take a break because I have the algos, I have the other things, and you can choose when you want to do what you want to do. You still have to work and to grind it out, but it is a much better investment, I think, personally. Plus, I think it has a different level of personal achievement. It's kind of like making your own company and enterprise versus, building something for someone else. So
let me just put this here in Algo just a second. So I had this boss kind of similar to what you said, that basically the thing was, he said you can come in and leave whenever you want. It's fine, it's flexible schedule, as long as you're here 50 hours a week. And it's like, well, that's like the same point. You might have a flexible schedule, but you have to be there 50 hours a week. And usually the work I would do would take like 20 hours in the beginning, which was like super easy for me to do. And so I still had to be there 50 hours a week. How does that make sense? It doesn't really make sense. And that's where I kind of had to snap out of it and find a way to be paid not for the time you're there, because sometimes you can be there and not even produce work, or you can be there and produce work. It doesn't matter, you still get paid, which for me didn't make sense at all. So kind of similar there. And that's not what I want to follow. Definitely not. And then if I would come back 10 minutes late for lunch after, the boss would get pissed while they have a flexible schedule. So
yeah.
So what happened then after that?
Well, after that, I continued, and then I dedicated basically, I already had the background of basically 4 years since I started on and off. From there, so I had a good base there. And then I dedicated that year and a half after that to fully dedicate myself to Forex trading and to learn more. And then after that, I started working with you with the algo development. And then I took a turn from just being price action trader to being algo trader after that. And now, we're working all together, making algos and the academy and trading. Most of my trading now is made by the algos. It's most of my trading, it's algo based. I still trade some price action, but 95% of my trading activity right now, it's done by the algos, done without me even being here. And I just get notified sometimes when things happen, or I just turn off the notifications and go for a walk to the park here. Just enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. So what were some of the sacrifices you had to do during your learning curve in trading?
Well, during my university years, actually, I was doing the international program at my university, which it's basically mixing your, your bachelor degree together with your master's degree. So I had my bachelor degree, so I had to have all my things for the bachelor degree. But in the last year of my bachelor degree, I was able to do a master's at the same time. But I had to, in order to not do extra time, like from the 4 years of the, like the originally planned bachelor degree program, I had to basically cram 1 extra year of the bachelor degree credits and classes into the other part. So I took, I think it was 2 years in which I basically had the maximum load the university allowed for students because it was supposed to be too hard. And so I had eight courses instead of the normal 7 or 6 usually other students had. And with that, I still find out always time to continue learning to trade, to continue doing that. So what I ended up sacrificing was sleep, because I mean, as a university student, you sometimes sacrifice sleep anyways because you procrastinate and then you have to deliver a project. But basically what I did was I procrastinated many things in university because university was relatively easy for me. It's really easy to be mediocre in university. So, that was easy, but my aim in university was to be at least, top 5% of people in there. So I had that goal and I fight for that goal, but then from there I was okay. So I still want to learn to trade. I still need to do the trading part. So what I did was negotiate with all my teachers that if I was able to exceed their expectations in the classes, then I was able to basically do whatever I wanted in class. Some of them didn't like that, but as long as you are silent in the university, they allow you to have a computer. So I was trading or listening to trading videos while listening to class, kind of like multitasking sometimes. And many times I had in my schedule like 1 hour and a half breaks in between one class and another. What I did in that time was, okay, go out of class, go into a space of the university that I made my office. I stole an office from a director that was in the process of changing to a different office. I made it my office. The people there knew me, couldn't know. So what I did was I finished one class, go there, spend my hour and a half learning about trading, like listening to trading videos and watching trading videos, practicing, doing my back test, and then went back to the class. Usually that was, like from 4 p.m. All the way to 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. sometimes, depending on the night classes. And I had all that time basically just class, a small break maybe for a snack, then trading class, and then you have to go back to home. So what I ended up sacrificing was going out with friends, which, as a university student, that's what most people actually didn't want to sacrifice when I was in university. Whenever there was a project or something like that, they were like, we may deliver an under quality project, but we will not sacrifice our time outside and that. So I kind of compromised in that part. Sometimes when there were people that I like to deal with, I was like, okay, come to my office, we can play around a bit, talking, we can chat or whatever. And then we work. You work in whatever you have to do for your projects, and I work in my trading with that. In the end, it ended up being mostly trading than chit-chatting because people didn't like the idea of chit-chatting a bit and then having to work. They just wanted to take some time off in between classes and relax. So I mostly sacrificed what you can call my social life during university, which by the program that I had, it was already supposed to be a low amount of social life because I was in the high performance program for university. I mostly sacrificed just the social life and going out. But in the end, many times it kind of didn't matter to me because I, as Michael said, I enjoyed trading. I sometimes wanted class to finish just so that the people that didn't understand what happened in the advanced financial mathematics things, how do you do those things, stop asking how to do those things that the teacher had already explained 5 times. And so I could just go and be in peace with the charts and with the trading videos and with my backtest tools. So it is kind of like a sacrifice, but if you want it enough, it's not really a sacrifice anymore. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if people on YouTube will understand what I mean. But
I totally agree with that. Yeah. So It's
Yeah,
the
it's a
fact
sacrifice
that
that
something that you like. Yeah.
exactly. There's something that you like, and maybe there are some points in which you don't want to do backtesting. It's horribly tedious, but I've found ways to make it a bit more fun, maybe mix a bit backtesting with live market analysis, which gets a bit more excited because you may be placing some trades in the live market or something like that. And I always try to be so how can I make this more interesting for me, even though it's something that I dreaded to do backtesting at the beginning. And I was always so I'm doing this, and maybe I am sacrificing a bit of this now, but maybe my idea was you can sacrifice 5 years now of your high school living and that, your university living and that, but I'm going to gain 20 years down the line of freedom and being able to, if I want to go in February to a really nice place of holidays, I can, and I can go and enjoy the place really, because I'm not going to go and be full of people because it's the same holiday season with everyone else, and you cannot really enjoy the holidays. And that has materialized actually last year and the year before that, when I went with family to a couple of trips during the off season. My parents are retired, so they are able to travel anytime, but if I was in a normal job, I wouldn't be able to go with them to the trip, or we will have to go to the trip, Rome and those places. They are full of tourists and you cannot really walk. But when we went super off season, when no one else, because trading enables me to be able to do that. For me, that's what makes it worth the grind. Like, you have to grind it out and you have to do the work, but at some point in my university, my degree started to become my plan B. If trading doesn't work, I have this university degree which I can execute. I can sell my life to a company for money for a time that I need. But that's my plan B. That's if everything else fails, I have this. But at some point, it was trading. It's becoming more and more what I really want to do, and I don't care what it takes. I will get there. That was my mentality, and that's why I never really feel like I was sacrificing too much. Because for me, it was I'm not really sacrificing. I'm investing in my future. I'm investing in my I'm investing now for the next 20 or 30 years of my life to reap the benefits of that.
Here's one thing I learned from all of this when I was trying to trade and having a job and university and everything around. I learned to do the art of the 80-20 principle, in the sense that I would, let's say, get regularly, let's say, an A grade for my work, or I would do like really good work at work. And that's all good, but if you want to be able to, the thing is that basically 80% of the actions you do produce only 20% of the result, and 20% of your action produce 80% of your result. So what is that 20% of the action you can do? And that means you have much less work to do. And you're not going to get like the full thing. You're not going to get the full A+ grades or the full really, really good work at work. But at least you get like most of it. And that's what counts. The rest of the time can be used for trading then. And that's really something you should learn to do. And you should learn to kind of prioritize what is the most important thing now in trading. What is the best action to take now? So let's go with that. Michael, what do you think has been the number one action or the most prioritizable action in your trading to be able to move forward? What has been that one thing to work on?
Yeah, actually, actually, just to comment on your thing is your point is, we are just as normal workers, in the past, or who have no regular jobs. We're really time based. We're paid for our time. Sure, we have a value that we bring to a company, but we're time based. And this business is not time based, it's effort based. So that 80-20, really, it's the 20 that really makes, we're not paid for our time. We're paid for our 20, as opposed to our 80. So that's the biggest challenge that a lot of traders have. And I love that rule. And it can't be more, there's not a profession that's more truer than trading for the 80-20 rule. But to get to your question, the biggest thing I saw personally, and I mentioned it before about, going to the trader expos personally, that was my sort of, I grabbed one or two little nuggets each time, And really, it's built my sort of framework for my trading career. Without that, I don't think I would be where it is today. I have a background in risk management. That's really my specialty. So, you know, that I felt I brought to the table. And every trader really needs to think about that. Like, what's that one thing that you bring to the table? You know, is it patience? Is it risk management? Is it sometimes it's wealth? You know, you have a bankroll. But what is that one little, you know, niche that you could bring to the table? But as I did that, and another, you know, key thing at those expos that I did, and again, another little action that I didn't realize at the time, but there was this one session where they had these like platform of 4 traders, and it was something like the traders you've never heard about. And they were like really cool traders, up and coming traders, but you know, they didn't have webcasts and they didn't write books or anything like that. And I went to see that. That was the one session I always liked at the expos. And the one I thought was just, it wasn't that good. So I actually wrote an email to the co-founder of the Traders Expo and, you know, respectively said, I don't know, I think there's something missing there. And, you know, if you're ever looking for somebody different, like a new fresh blood, yeah, let me know. I think I can maybe add some value to that. I just didn't even know what I was doing. Wrote back and said, well, I think we're going to cancel that segment, but how about would you like to do an interview for us? And that led to attraction. That led to other things. Next thing you know, he books me for a speaking engagement. Then I'm there, and I had already written a self-published book, but another guy, I was approached by Wiley Finance, like the #1 finance, you know, publishing company. We liked your book, but we think we can make it better. And like, so that one email triggered this flywheel that just kept growing and growing and growing. And I think that's really the kind of principles in life you look back as, like, what was the 1 or 2 little actions that you took? So I guess the principle, my question is, yeah, Trader Expos, to me, that was my savior, so to speak. Getting immersed with traders. And Etienne, you preach this all the time. Like, get yourself involved with other traders in the room. And, but the other thing too is, you know, what's my formula? Activity plus exposure equals opportunity. And what is that? Activity. Like, you got to do something. You take that action step and get yourself exposed, and that leads to other things. And again, you know, who knows where that formula still exists today, where who knows what track that's going to be. But you know, take that little leap of faith, even if it's that one toe in the water. You know, just that little action, like an email, really just changed my path and the direction, and really ultimately got to my success.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not just the lessons you get from these conferences; it's more maybe the connections you make over time too. Yeah. I found that the connection with someone can be much more valuable than just a lesson or a tip or whatever.
Absolutely, it's almost like a spiritual path. Like, it's almost like it's been predetermined, but if you just take some little actions, it's amazing where it leads. Very sort of Tony Robbins like, but you know, I'm a big believer in that. So I just kind of, you know, go with that and, you know, take a little. Just, you'd be amazed how many, if you ask a question, how many people like are just willing to answer and help you out.
Yeah, it's true. Very true. Alejandro, what has been that 1 or 2 things that really help you move forward in trading?
For me, I would say that even though most of my time at the beginning of my trading like career was focused mostly on technicals, on technique and that, I think what really, like the first time in which I had a really big change was mindset. I had already like the technical part and that anyone can practice it. You can get good at it by just practicing with time. But the mindset part of, okay, how do you tackle this? How do you deal with losses over the long term? How do you deal with compliance, with really being compliant with the plan? Because it happened to me that when I was in demo, there was a point in which I was in demo and I was doing great. But then I put, you know, $500 account just with minimum lot size and that. And then I completely destroyed my plan. I didn't do what I had to do. And I just did something completely different. It was as if I was again that newbie trading in 2012. Even though I already knew what I had to do, I kind of did what I had to do because I was following the technical aspects of the plan, but I was not following, the other part, the compliance, the risk management. According to me, I was following my plan, but if you really, if you look deep down, or just maybe just give it a quick glance, proper glance, you will see that it was not following the rules. So that part of mindset, focusing in the right things in terms of mindset, that was the biggest, I think the biggest part in me. And second part was actually contacting you when I was, playing with Algos and that, and then sending you an email asking you, hey, I saw a video that your next steps for the algo that you were doing at that time, which now is a trading assistant, was to incorporate certain functions. I already had that written for my own. I was like, yeah, if you want, I can share with you how to do this. But your algo currently has something that I am looking to add into mine. Can we just cooperate? And we started cooperating, just like mutual cooperation, trying to see how we could help each other and give value, not really asking like many people, many traders out there like go and ask like for help, like help me and that. No, it was more like, hey, you have something that I think it's useful for me. I have something that I think it's of value for you too. Let's see how we can cooperate together to make something valuable for the other of us. And in the end, we ended up together now in the academy. I'm part of the academy too, and we created the algo part. But that second part was important because it transitioned me from being a price action trader to being a mostly algorithmic trader. That was the kick for me, like contacting you and started collaborating with doing that. Because before, algo trading for me was just, it's interesting, it's fun, but I never really gave it enough, enough attention, enough care, like learning to code more and that as needed to do it properly. And after that, I continued to develop into it. So I would say those are my two main ones. But for everyone out there, I would say that depending on where you are in your stage, it's what you need to do. If you are starting, it may not be, well, at least for me, it was, if you have told me about mindset, which I'm pretty sure I saw videos about mindset, I saw some of your interviews about mindset and that, I would not have cared about them in those times when I started because I was not focusing on those things. So probably if I had heard more about it in the beginning, it may not have been on any good for me. So I think having the right topics like exposed to you at the right time of your development is key, because you can have all the access to all the mindset coaching you want, but if you are not ready to accept it, it's not going to do any good for you. So I think in my case, it was being in the right time and then being exposed to Mandy with the program that I did with Mandy to actually give the turnaround in my journey.
Okay, this is a huge point we have to talk about. So Michael mentioned the fact that he was reaching out to people, going to conferences, going to events to be able to learn to trade better and become a better trader. Alejandro did the exact same thing where he reached out to me. And you have no idea how many emails we get on a weekly basis about people that ask like, oh, I can do this for you, give me X dollar, or oh, help me with this and that. We get a ton of them every week. But Alejandro reached out to me one week, said, I can help you with this thing. We'd like some help. I said, yeah, why not? He didn't ask for any money or anything. We thought to help out on this. And next thing you know, I flew to Mexico, went to meet him. We tried to work on the algo together, work on different things. And then he became kind of partner now. So those are things that happen when you kind of reach out to people in the right way, which means not taking from them, but adding value. And that's when things can really fall fast. It could be like this, working together. It could be capital. Like, could be someone, like, that's what happened to me. Someone that gave me capital to trade with. That's what happened. Just by reaching out to someone really easily. Or it could be like different things. You never know, different opportunities. So that's it. That is really important to be able to do that for sure. So I want to go to some questions, and maybe Michael can answer this one. So Gerald, who's a member of our academy, of Digital Trade Academy, is asking, how do you get accustomed psychologically, or any tip to manage the mindset of trading other people's money? How do you get to that mindset? Be able to getting more from capital and being able to manage your money comfortably.
Yeah, it's a good question. The mindset thing, and whether it's like Alejandro talked about, is getting to be a better trader, or the mindset to take on a new venture, or something that you maybe not exposed to, for you're getting for the first time, is one, I'm a big believer in is I don't know it all. I'm not the expert in everything. I have coaches, I had coaches for a lot of the areas, pockets of trading, and also my businesses that I needed help with. So I always reach out to experts, and again, like not necessarily like a paid thing or have a psychology trading coach. It was just like you kind of barter in a sense. So the answer to the question, kind of aside from the actual trading element, a lot of this, and you alluded it in the when we took action and stuff about that offering value, it's business savvy. It's how do you handle people? How do you deal with people in a whether it's a company, a working environment or a person? It's all about people skills, and I call it business savvy. And I think just how you communicate with them, how do you find their needs, how you could help them, and conversely, how you could be of value to them, is very, very important. In regards specifically to the actual money management aspect of it, you really, again, going back to it's kind of like someone walking into a shoe store and you're the shoe salesman, or the person, the manager, saying, what's the questions you ask? How can I help you? What are you looking for? And let me see if we can have that in our inventory where we can help you. So you find those ways. There are some modifications you have to make, because everything that you think you should do has to be in conforming, not just personally with their risk tolerances, but also the regulatory aspects and things like that. So you have to make modifications. But again, that's where business savvy comes in, and you work out a plan and you address it. Communication, last point, communication is so key, so critical to those things. You don't want to get a phone call on a bad day kind of thing. All that is expected, the normalcies of trading and variance of results. So again, doing that all up front and having a good working relationship really is the key to that element of the business.
In regards to mindset, I've been doing recently a psychology program with a good coach in psychology for trading. And one of the reasons why people fail to kind of trade bigger accounts or fail to manage more money is for two things. It's either the inner critic, so your voice inside of you telling you, your shit's gonna do this, gonna do that, you're a bad trader. That's the inner critic. The second thing is the orphan. So that's the voice inside you telling you that telling you that kind of like the insecure voice. That's like, oh, I didn't go to this, or the kind of voice has been bullied in the past. So you've been like pitching things or whatever, and then you kind of have to work on that. So when you kind of work on these two things, the inner critic and the orphan, you're able to kind of move forward and grow. So you can check out the interview with Randy Owl. I think I explains this quite in detail, but that's kind of how you can work on that. I think it's not like a detailed answer, of course, but something you gotta work on.
Yeah. Overcoming fear is such a key point of critical factor hurdle in this. I mean, not that this is the answer to things, but I can't turn my camera here, but right in my office, right behind my screens, are two little billboard kind of things. One says, "It is what it is," and the other one says, "I don't care." And, it's all about, you have a losing trade. I mean, I get Slack questions. One is like, "Oh, look at this losing trade. It just hit me and my stop loss and it went to target." I don't care. Like, how do you handle that? I don't care. Like, it is what it is. It's really the answer to a lot of the questions about fear. And but it's a toughie, but fear of loss is a big one in this business.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It could be fear of loss, fear of losing the capital, fear of losing investors. All these are things to manage. People don't know how to manage. Awesome. Question here for Alejandro by. Go ahead.
I want to add to the part of Gerald. He's mentioning that he's getting more offers to manage capital. So in that sense, I would be more strict with who I accept as a client for managing money, because as Michael said, you don't want to get called every time you're doing a trade, especially with your style of trading, Gerald. You don't want to be called every time you're placing a trade in the market or something like that, because the investor maybe, it wants to be involved, but there is a difference between an involved investor that it's curious about the process or about the things, and someone that kind of doesn't really trust you with their money, or has trust issues or fear of loss, but at a different level, and it's always contacting you. So I would say, if you have access to people and you're having people asking you, offering to manage you to manage your capital, then you have the luxury of being picky and selecting the people that resonate with you and your style. Because you are going to have to make changes to the trading, yes, to adapt to the client, but you don't need to basically do everything the client wants. You have to keep your trading style. You have to keep your core has to be compatible with your client. And maybe at the beginning, if you don't have much clients or if you need more clients, maybe you will accept to some pain in the ass in that part. But if you have the possibility or you have more people wanting to get capital management by you, remember that you have that luxury of being picky, and ultimately you are the one who decides to manage their money or not. If they are not a good fit for you, you can think of it like this. You want them to be bothering you and maybe interfering with your trading style, in your trading, managing your capital, or do you want to be able to operate as you are successful with the capital? So just to add to that part, like if you have a luxury, take that into account.
As a trader, I think you should be refusing clients all the time. Not all of them, but some of them you should all the time refuse people. Because that, first of all, increases your confidence in yourself. And that is good to show the people that you don't really need their money, which is a good thing. For sure. Awesome. So a question here from Cozy that Alejandro can answer. The question is, how long did you test to find the perfect algorithm? And what are its components?
Well, there is no perfect algorithm. So that's the first part. That's the first part. There is no perfect algorithm. There is no perfect strategy. It always has to be evolving. And like a strategy, an algorithm is basically just a robot, a program that is executing a strategy as you write it to do. So an algorithm will be as good as the strategy that it is operating and as its manager. So you can have an algorithm that is working pretty good, but if you as the manager don't let it, maybe it's an algorithm that makes on average 100% a year, but it has 70% drawdowns in between to get to that 100% of profit a year. If you as manager of the algorithm, even if you buy an algorithm from online, but just ready-made, you are the manager of that algorithm. You have to turn it on, place it in the charts, and etc. So if you as a manager algorithm cannot tolerate or cannot allow it to operate within its normal parameters, then you are just basically swallowing up the losses, and then maybe when it starts again to win, you are going to turn it on again, and you are just making something that works into something that doesn't work because the strategy or the underlying statistics of the algorithm or the strategy are not working for you. So I would say the most important component is that the statistics of whatever you are trading, strategy, algorithm, have to be compatible with your own capacity and personality. So if you have a strategy that is doing, if you're able to handle 20% drawdowns, but no more than that, then you have to either tune your algorithms or tune your strategies to that. And just one part that is always really important in any strategy and any algo is a good risk management. And I'm not really answering the question. I'm kind of answering other components, not really the three main what it involves, but because it will be pretty personal to what you are doing. I program algorithms for clients. We have clients that have been trading their own systems and they just want automated. And every single one has been different. I have not programmed any strategy right now that is basically the same for two different clients. So they are all different, but they all have this thing in common. Risk management, the trader or the manager of that algorithm knows the statistics and know how it fits with them. And risk management, knowing the statistics, and lastly, knowing when to play and when to not play. So knowing when to put your algorithm on and knowing when to withdraw it from the market. So knowing when the strategy doesn't work as well, knowing when it works in order to let it, play in the market and trade. So those are the three things that I think are important as as an algo trader. It doesn't really answer your question of what are the aspects of like the perfect algorithm, because that will vary per person, and every strategy has to be updated with the market conditions. That's why you have to have the last part of being able to know when to play and when not to play, when it's time to update your strategy.
By the way, all three of us use Algo to trade in some way. So I use Algo for most of my trading, and Algo uses Algo for also most of his trading. Michael as well. So the Algo we have changes all the time, not like on a daily basis, but like we always evolve it and make it better. We tweak some parameters, we add more things, we add more rules to find. And so it's never going to be the same thing all the time. You can't like use an Algo from the 1980s and expect it to work today. It's going to be different. They tweak it a lot since these last like 40 years or something. And so same thing goes with any algo. It's going to adjust over time. So I want to answer two questions here. I want to cover two questions. One is from Andrew. Andrew's asking, how can we find where the trader conferences are and when they happen, where they are? You simply go on Google. You type in on Google training conference, and you'll find a website that lists all of them in like every city. If you have a city in particular, just type in training conference in your city. You'll find it on Google. It's super simple. It works all the time. If you don't find it, you can reach out to us. We'll be trying to search it out for you, but you should be able to find it. And Goku Black is asking, how do you make robust strategies? We wrote a full article on that in the past. I'll leave it in the chat below. It's quite a long question to answer, so that's going to explain you all the steps, all the parameters to look for, and you'll be able to create a really strong strategy with that. So that is done.
For the trading expos part, usually you will find them online, but most of them happen only on the big financial hubs or the big cities.
Of course,
related to finance. So just like
London, Singapore, Australia, Sydney.
Yeah, if you're in the middle of Europe near a small town in the middle of nowhere, you may not have access to a trader expo or even to a trader meetup near you. So you may need to travel to those. And that's also part of the thing that I think is useful with trader expos, is that you find people that are greatly involved or really wanting to succeed, because many people that are there are traveling from far away to be, exposed to other traders. So I'm pretty sure that Mike can attest to this, but sometimes you get more from the attendees and the connections you get there than from the actual, presentations that are like being shown. Just
the connection are
yeah.
Some of the best conversations I've had were before the speaker even started, like 10 minutes before, where it's starting to fill up and the guy in front of you, maybe his head is in the way, and you're just like, he leans over and, am I in your way? And no, we just started talking, and next thing you know, we're exchanging WeChat numbers and things like that. So
perfect. So here's a question I would like you guys to answer in maybe 30 seconds or less. Let's go with that. My tool is asking, what is your golden advice for new traders to keep the momentum in trading? Michael, you want to start?
Alex, you want to
go? Yeah, I can start if you want. I would say that the best way to keep the momentum is to mix in things that you naturally like or that you already like in your trading, or trying to find the goals that will excite you in your trading. Because many times in trading, what you need to do are some tasks that may seem big, but when you break them down into smaller goals and maybe mix in a bit of something that you enjoy to do in between those as like mini prizes for yourself in between that helps you a lot to be able to get through that part. Because as in anything that is worth in life, in trading, you have to grind up a lot in the first stages in order to get there, to get to the point. So trying to cut it down a bit in smaller chunks, and also mixing it things that you like. I think that's a good way to get yourself motivated. The second one I would say is to involve someone else. Have someone that you have to be accountable to, and that basically maybe like, okay, you do your stuff. It's week, kind of like if you are in university back again, you have to do your homework and you have to present your homework every week of what you did, or in a job and you have to talk to your boss and tell them what you did. Just having that as humans, we have the psychology, or if we do something for ourselves, we may do it like not that good, but if we do something for someone else, we may do it better. So involve someone else in your life that is maybe close to you or that can help you, a friend, or even sometimes someone that you may not know much, but some other trader and is also interested in that. You can involve them, and someone that can keep you accountable is usually the best motivator.
Awesome. Michael?
My simple answer, I'll keep this 10 seconds. Don't do it alone. Alex hinted about it and talked about a support group, but really, I'm just going to be straight out. Have professionals help you, like anything in life. There's certain things that you just do really well and others that you need help. Whether it's coaching or just, a trader partner, whatever it is, someone who's going to help you identify, assess, and be able to control the management of your journey. And the more people I find, the most successful ones are the ones who just reached out and got help. And there's nothing, it's the cool part about it. We all get better that way, and it really speeds up the learning curve. So just don't do it alone. Don't do it alone.
Awesome. I was going to point out, if you guys are watching now are looking to get some more help, some more support, not just to learn how to become a trader, but how to be supported to become a better trader and to actually do it and get it done. I'll left a link below the description for the academy. If you want to apply, start to work with us. We basically have a mix of courses and coaching. So we teach you the things you need to know to be able to become a full-time trader. But we also support you through our mastermind calls every 2 weeks, through our Slack group where we chat with people, and through coaching we do with people one-on-one. So that's included in the link below. You can check it out, apply there. It'll still be free to apply. And if you are a good fit, we'll get in the call together and we can see if it makes sense or not. If it doesn't, that's fine. At least you know. But if it does and you have a chance to work with us, I think that could be a really good opportunity to do so, of course. And I'm just going to maybe answer that question myself. I think you guys pretty much answered it all. But the 3 things for me that really make sense to be able to keep momentum is, 1, the right goals. Second one is having a support group around people that push you to work harder. And the third one is the right reasons to become a full-time trader. Like, it's good to have goals, but what are the reasons behind your goals? If you have only goals and a reason, you cannot progress. If you have only reasons and no goals, you progress really fast, but not in the right direction. So the right reason, the right why behind why you do something is also super important. So I would say these are the top 3.
Awesome. Yeah.
And now I want to move on to another one that's interesting. We'll answer it all. I think we'll pretty much all the same with that. Yurtis is asking, how long did it take you to become a profitable from when you started trading? Michael, you want to start?
About 18 months, 12. Well, I never blew an account, I got to say. But that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing to say, because I was so conservative. In fact, one of my biggest challenges now to this day is I'm probably still too conservative in my trading. So, but once I turned that corner, yeah. But then, I had steps and starts and things like that. But I would say like 18 months, but I put a lot of work on those 18 months.
Awesome. Alejandro?
Well, for me, it was much longer, since I was trading together with the university. So it was not really that serious at that time. I would say that you had that as base. So I'm pretty sure you can get that base with a well-dedicated 3 months. For the 3 or 4 years I had before, you can probably get it with someone super dedicated for months. But once I decided that I was going to go trading full time and I dedicated that, it took me about 1 year and a half. So a year and a half plus, whatever time you can condense that into my other experience into if you were really going into it.
Okay. So I began trading in 2013 and I became profitable in 2016, roughly that. So that means 3 years. The first 2 years I did pretty much nonsense and I knew nothing about the market. So the day I placed my first trades, I knew nothing about the market, nothing at all. So I had to learn everything from scratch there. And I didn't really learn much in the first 2 years. I learned a lot when I began to go to meetups from myself with traders. That's where I learned the most. And from there, it took about 6 to maybe 9 months to become profitable, which was kind of fast. So we're about the same.
Yeah.
Fairly similar. Interesting. Perfect. Okay. Some hate message. I love it. It's good. So go back. Guy was asking, are you training algos based on technical analysis or quantitative analysis?
So the algos that I'm trading are mostly based on indicators and then backtesting and that. I have tried in the past, I think as part of my mastering finance course, we did a lot of predictive models with quantitative analysis, but I never found them that interesting in that sense, like compared to technical analysis or like indicator-based ones. And I find that you have to be re-optimizing them and remaking them a lot more if they are based on quantitative analysis than if they are based on indicators. Plus, I think it's easier to have a better understanding if you're using indicators because they are, it's easier to translate that into a human thing than, quantitative analysis is super heavy maths. Maybe you can translate it to a theoretical mathematician if we understand everything you're talking about it, if you are showing them a model, but if you talk about quantitative methods and that with someone else, like a normal human, they will be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and then just go away from the room. It happened to me in the past during uni. So yeah, I think it's much easier to work with indicator-based algos. But I for sure would love to explore some like machine learning based stuff. I think that would be the next step, but it may take a while for me to get there. So it's a lot of things to learn first to get there.
Michael, you're doing the same as well. Same for me too. I traded some Algo as I know, of course. So yeah, basically, I think it's a good idea because we want to trade something that's based on what we see in the market. We're used to be manual traders, so we kind of understand how things work a little bit. And that's where technical analysis algos can kind of make more sense to us. But we could explore the other way in the future, of course. There, yeah. Cool. We have a question here about the best price action course. I would recommend either ours or Nevian Pritiani, so Urban Forex course, or Algo. Again, depending on what you want to learn, what your goals are, and everything. So I cannot make a recommendation here on that. Awesome, thank you very much, Otman, for the good comments. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much. And I think that's it. Unless you have any questions, we can stick around for like 1 minute or two more, and then we'll be good to go. I want to make sure you get some value and you have something to apply and to work on. That's the goal. And that way you'll be good to go and get some results and crush it this week. I think we answered pretty much everything there.
Cool.
Michael, do you have some last words you want to share with people? Something insightful?
No, I'll choose the same theme. I think if we rethink about the theme that kind of occurred, and this is, a live event, so we just kind of, wing it and just be informal, but taking action, really having discipline, really setting a regiment in your life to, if you want to get something, you just have to work hard at it. Don't do it alone. There's a lot of themes that came out of this. I thought that was kind of interesting and honestly very consistent with some of our other gatherings. But, if there's something that you want in life, whatever it is, just, if you have the passion, you'll get there. Just, you may need, don't do it alone, and have that drive and ambition and understand that there'll be roadblocks. There'll be tests. Just accept those, embrace them as part of the learning process, and just keep moving forward. And I think you'll get anything you want in life.
Awesome. No more questions. We've done it. Appreciate you guys for being here as always. Give it a like if you like the video today. These live events, we don't do them often, but they can be good sometimes. So if you guys are getting some value, give it a like. I would appreciate it a lot. And we'll catch you back here pretty soon for the next video.